Hi guys, we are live. Happy Saturday afternoon. How are you, Dr. J?
I am very good. How are you, Denise?
I'm so good. I'm just going to check in here to make sure we are live, and yes, we are. Very nice. Hi guys. If you are watching us or you pop on while we're speaking, drop in a comment, say hello. I posted inside this live a link for you to click. Now that's just for permission for us to see your comments on our end. But if you comment below as usual inside this post, we'll keep an eye out for your comments. So give us some love, show us some likes. I have Dr. J, who's amazing. We have a wonderful topic. And we're going to get into that topic of harnessing your fear in just a minute. But I want for Dr. J to introduce herself to us and share whatever you'd like with the group, Dr. J.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. So I am Dr. J. I am a mental fitness coach and trainer. And what that means is that I've taken a lot of my training as well as my education and experience and put it all together for people so that I can help create transformations, which is what I absolutely love to do. So I am a counselor. What's that?
And you do it so well.
Oh, thank you. So I'm a counselor and a transformational coach, and I help individuals who are feeling out of shape emotionally and spiritually to get back into shape in those two spheres. So I really have taken a lot of my clinical background and kind of put that aside, but I do take from that once in a while. I'm certified in applied positive psychology because I absolutely love talking about our strengths, what really is, unique about us and what makes us worth working on.
Wow.
And I'm certified in hypnotherapy and NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming, because I just love tapping into our unconscious mind. When we really think about who we are, Denise, we're just spiritual beings in a physical form. And to be able to tap into that unconscious mind and the power that lives within each and every single one of us is something that I'm super passionate about. So I went and got certified in hypnotherapy and NLP to create subtle and effortless shifts, to really create what ends up being like a domino effect, because you knock down one little domino and just so many different changes happen in our lives, and it's so beautiful to see. So essentially that's what I do. I have 3 areas of specialty. I work with people to really find clarity in who they are, confidence in themselves and their value in this world, as well as the conviction and the certainty in their lives. I'm getting a little feedback. Are you good?
You are clear to me.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Perfect. That was like a second. I heard some feedback there.
Well, that's what. Okay, so thank you for that. That's why you're so brilliant and you're so perfect to talk about this topic. I'm so happy that you accepted my invitation to come on live with us to talk about harnessing your fear. So before we get into, Dr. J, did I lose you? Dr. J, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yay. Okay. Awesome. So I was saying that you are the perfect person to talk about harnessing your fear. I'm so happy that you accepted our invitation to join us. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So before we get started on the topic of harnessing your fear, because this group is about aligning with your highest and greatest potential, can you share with us just something personal? How or what does alignment mean to you, or how does it look like for you?
Yeah, excellent. That's such a great question, Denise. And I remember when we first met at Experts Academy, the thing that drew me to you is that this was so important for you to work with our leaders out there and really living in an alignment space so they can serve the world in a way that only they can. And I think that's what drew me to you. And I love that you're asking me this question because I'm so passionate about alignment too. So I mentioned really quickly that my areas of specialty are clarity, confidence, and conviction. And the reason why that's so important for me is because that essentially is the ability to connect your head to your heart, right? So once we have those two things connect, you are living in alignment. And the thing about those 3 C's is that when they overlap, if you can think about them as like a Venn diagram of sorts, right? So you have clarity, confidence, and conviction. And the areas where they overlap, they kind of happen naturally once you start to develop the 3 different C's. And when you develop all of those areas, you show up with a purpose.
Wow.
And once you show up with a purpose, you're really living in alignment. Yeah. So when you have clarity and confidence, you start to develop this presence, right? Presence is about that magnetic pull that only you have, that charisma.
Yes.
When you have confidence and conviction, you have passion. You develop a passion for something in your life. But when you also have confidence or conviction and clarity, you have a sense of direction in your life. When you have all three of those C's, you have a purpose.
Wow.
And when you have all of that, you start to live in alignment before you even realize what that even means. So I'm so passionate about living in alignment, making sure you're connected from here to here, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. That's what life is about.
Oh my gosh, you are so amazing. You need to come back and talk about the 3 C's. We need to dive into that because that is so important. And the way you explained it so eloquently, the diagram and how they overlap. And when they do overlap, you're living your purpose. I so want to hear a lot more about that. So you need to put me on your calendar, or put us on your calendar, and let's talk about those 3 C's. So we can help our members find their purpose and live in alignment, right? Because that's the whole point of this group. For us to share resources, experts like you, to share your knowledge with our group so that we can elevate consciousness, we can elevate human potential, all while living a very fulfilling, rewarding life. And so I need you back. You know what? We need to talk about having you as a regular, maybe. So.
That would be phenomenal.
Yeah,
I love that.
So thank you for sharing, your perspective on alignment, and how you incorporate those 3 C's for yourself and for your clients. Will you tell us and share with us, how do you find alignment when life happens? Do you have any strategies? That you use personally for yourself?
Yeah. So when I think of staying in alignment, I always think about that quote by Viktor Frankl. And he said that those who have a why can bear with almost any how. And life will always happen, and life will throw you lemons, and things will get so hard. And it's in those moments when things get rough that you feel so overwhelmed with, how to show up. How do you live with integrity? How do you live in alignment and be true to yourself? Yeah. And when I get to that point where I'm starting to feel that way, that sense of overwhelm and unease, I always remember those who have a why can bear with almost any how. So I always remember to tap into my why. What is that why? But in order for you to actually even say I am living in alignment before life gets rough, right? You have to think about, how do you start to develop a sense of alignment? Because you can't live in alignment unless you've already developed it. And in order for you to develop that sense of alignment, you need to really figure out this awareness piece. Oprah credits self-awareness to be like the number one predictor or factor in what made her so successful. And awareness really is so key to almost everything in life. So when you think about self-awareness, you have to think about what makes you tick and what you stand for. So what are the things that drive you? What motivates you? What scares you? What will you stand for in your life? What would you die for? So you need to really be aware of what makes you tick and what you stand for. And once you know that and you have that sense of self-awareness, you can start to develop living in alignment so that when life does get tough, you can stand sturdy in that solid foundation of, this is who I am. I know who I am, and I know how to live in alignment, so I'm going to do that. And especially when things get rough, living with integrity, living in alignment, it can be so difficult. So some of the things that I do is, so the sister to self-awareness is power awareness. I always make sure I remember that at the end of the day, I'm in control of who I am. I'm in control of how I show up, my attitude, my mindset, right? Whether that glass is half full or half empty, that's up to me to decide, not up to anyone else. So I'm always making sure that I'm plugged into that power awareness, that I am powerful and that I control my mindset and outcome. And as part of that, I have to make sure that I stand guard at the gates of my mind, because the things that I'm thinking, the things that I bring into my awareness is either serving to me or it's not. When you think about a garden, the things that you nurture are the things that grow. And we forget that there are going to be weeds that we really need to work on to pull. right? So we really have to just stand guard at our mind's gates to make sure that we choose what comes into our awareness. And this sounds a lot like proactive strategies for living in alignment, but it really helps to be aware of that fact that you really are in control, to make sure that when you are in a rough spot and life gets really difficult, you remember that you are in control at the end of the day of your mindset.
Oh my gosh. Woo, that was really, really passionate to hear you describe this, for you to share with us, how you view, shifting back into alignment when things happen, finding ways, having that self-awareness, having that power awareness. Had never heard someone talk about the power awareness to the aspect of alignment. And when you said, I at the end of the day am in control of my thoughts and in control of my emotions. And something I talk a lot about is emotional regulation. So I would love to have you come back and talk to us about some ways, some tools, ways that we can regulate those emotions so that we can tie a different emotion to the experience, so that we can start changing our mindset. So I'm going to need you to come back. So you're just a permanent fixture here now. So Dr.
Especially when it comes to talking about emotions, because it's just a subtle shift in our perspective. Emotions aren't something that we experience and we have to either, be happy about what we're going through or just have to live with what we're going through. But emotions are just a compass. And I always, it's so passionate. It's a passion of mine to be able to share that with people when you're experiencing an emotion, especially fear, which we'll go into in a little bit. It's really important to think about, what is that telling you? If your emotions are your compass, what is that telling you about your life and where you are and where you're headed?
What a great segue into our topic today about how to harness fear. And so the secret is out. I invite amazing thought leaders like you and experts in your fields because I need some free coaching. So I get to be on this. I get to be on this live call with a brilliant psychologist, and a positive psychology practitioner like you, so that I can get some help, because we're all evolving and we're all trying to find ways to better ourselves. And so that's the secret. That's why you're on today, Dr. J, because I have a lot of problems with this emotion, the emotion of fear. And so fear stops us dead in our tracks. I'll let you start with your perspective on this emotion, but I too want to share with you some uncomfortable things that I'm experiencing right now in my life because of fear. And if you're up for some guidance and some coaching today, I'm your guinea pig. I'm here.
I would love that. Absolutely.
So talk to us about what should we know about fear, and what should we be doing about it? How do we harness it?
I love that. Okay. So let's start with what fear is, because we really need to define in our own minds what fear is in a way that's helpful for us. It helps us to shift our attention or focus on running away. So when we start to feel fear, there are three things that could happen. You fight, flight, or freeze. We forget about those.
Freeze.
And a lot of times when we feel like we're stuck in our lives, we freeze. That's what happens. And when we're stuck, it usually happens because there's a fear that we are really not addressing, or we are avoiding. And instead of focusing on that fear and harnessing that power that comes with that fear, we use a lot of distractions in our lives to help us feel better in that moment.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So the third aspect of the freeze, the fight, flight, or freeze. I think I'm at a point where I'm just stopped. I've stopped dead in my tracks. I am now frozen. And I'm having a really hard time with moving forward with a book that I've been passionately writing for the last year or so. And I have found myself finding distractions, hiring you more clients to keep me busier. I'm finding ways to not move forward anymore. And so it's really hard for me right now. And, I've talked to my own coach about this, and you could put terms and you can put deadlines on someone, but if you are not ready to harness that fear, you're not going anywhere. And so for me, this book, because of how passionate I am about this topic of alignment, which is what I'm writing about, and sharing my experience, because it's just so important to me, I'm now just so fearful of this finally coming out into the world. And so, it's interesting that you said that third aspect. I'm frozen. I'm stuck. Yeah. So,
wow.
And there's so many other goodness. I have a list of things that we can talk about today. But that for me is something really important that I need some help with. So, what do you recommend? What do you suggest we do?
Sure. So let's work through what fear is first, because we really need to define it. And then once we can help you shift your perspective on what that fear looks like and what that might bring up for you, that you're frozen, then we can start to make changes. So fear, when we start to think about fear as a signal that life, universe, or God is giving us to say, hey, there's something right around the corner.
Whew.
Yeah. And that something right around the corner doesn't have to be something scary. Something bad that we usually give the meaning for anything that invokes that sense of fear in us. But there's something right around that corner. That's something magical, amazing thing.
Wow.
If we keep going instead of freezing from fear and you really face it head on, you get to the other side of fear. And what's on the other side of fear for you, Denise?
Oh gosh, freedom, peace, calm.
Peace.
Tranquility in my heart and in my mind. For me, with fear, I mean, the chemicals the cortisol secretes very quickly when I think of the book. I mean, just now I'm feeling very uncomfortable because we're talking about something very personal to me. And immediately I'm feeling that nervousness. But for me, I see on the other side of that is going to be finally peace of mind, freedom. To do so many things with this amazing book. Oh, I think it's amazing. No, I mean, if one person reads it, that's all I care about. But that's what would the other side would look like for me is freedom. That was the first word that came out. So freedom is what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. So you identify what fear is for you, right?
Yeah.
And what's on the other side of fear for you? Okay, you identify freedom, peace, relaxation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a why question. A lot of times when we ask why questions, we tend to get stuck because the why questions that we ask have this meaning of a sense of blame, right? When we ask, oh, why didn't I do this today? Or why couldn't he take out the trash? Or, why couldn't I stick to my diet? There's a sense of blame in that question of why. And that's why questions, when we ask it, tend to keep us stuck. But instead, if we were to ask the why questions, instead of with blame, but with meaning. So if I were to ask you, Denise, why does finishing that book and getting it out there scare you? What is the meaning in that?
Whoa, okay, I'm seriously, my heart is beating so fast. You asked a question that I can't answer. I need time to reflect on that question.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, Dr.
Because
J.
If it wasn't, if it wasn't important for you, Denise, you wouldn't be afraid. The more fear you feel, the bigger and more important it is for you.
Ooh, yes, I completely agree with that statement. This is something that I know will impact lives. It's a system that I've tried on. Obviously, I developed this system because I experienced it through pain, suffering, and agony, and I came out on the other side from some really terrible things, and I've used. Oh, we're getting likes. Oh, thank you. And getting hearts. Well, come on. Yes. So look at me, distraction. I'm okay with a distraction. So I don't have to answer this question. But you're absolutely right. This book, I hope, is going to impact lives, help people see life differently, and help them live a life of fulfillment and in alignment with their highest purpose. And so it's so important to me, Dr. J. So you're right. The bigger the purpose, the bigger the why, the scarier and the more fearful I feel. So yeah, that's very true in what you're stating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it about this fear that's keeping you stuck? And what are you not, apart from that fear, when you're moved past that, above and beyond being stuck and fearful?
Ooh.
Who are you?
Ooh, stop it, Dr. J. Look, I asked for coaching and now I don't want it. I'm pulling back. Someone else come on the line so we can get some coaching. But I don't know. I'm your worst client.
Why do you say that?
Because I'm having a hard time answering these very, very personal, deep questions. Mm-hmm. Because this
Denise,
fear,
what you're doing now, yeah.
This fear has gotten a hold of me for a good month now. And I was very proactive. I had a very, very structured schedule around my writing. I meditate before I write. I set my intentions before I write. And then I just let it free flow, and just, whatever comes out, comes out. I do zero editing. I don't plan to do that until the end of this manuscript. But for the past month, I'm trying to pinpoint what it was that came up for me that just completely stopped everything, the momentum, the energy around it. And, if we're being honest, and I'm being vulnerable with you as our members are watching and will watch on this replay, I must say there was some imposter syndrome that crept up for me, where when you start comparing yourself to others and their journeys, and you start looking at your own life and saying, wait, what? I'm just now doing this? And who cares? Who makes me the expert in this field? Who am I to share this story with anyone? Who am I to, share this, or who do I think I am? And so I'm now that I'm answering this question, I'm thinking that must have been it. It was that imposter syndrome feeling that popped up out of the blue.
Wow.
And talk about emotional regulation, and talk about guarding, having a guard at your mind, right? So that not just any thought passes through, or that doesn't serve you passes through your mind. And I must say, I was very vulnerable at that time, and I let that creep in. And I think that was when I stopped. I think that's what really really made an impact in my writing schedule and the energy around my writing.
Wow.
Ooh, so you stop this right now, Dr. J. Stop. Like, oh my gosh.
Do you know that what you're telling me actually reminds me of a story? And I remember a few weeks ago when I was, I forget who I was working with in terms of what particular client, but there's this one client that I had that was just so difficult for me to sit in the room with them. Because whenever they sat in the room with me, in front of me, and they were describing their problems, their struggles, I froze, kind of like you did, right? And then that thought starts to creep in, where it's like, well, how can I serve them? They're so much further ahead of me in life. They're so much older, so much wiser. Like, who am I and how will I serve them? And I started to feel a lot of frustration in the work that we were doing, because I didn't notice any movement or improvement in a few sessions that we had. And I remember the one day that I had this aha moment. And it was that when I was getting frustrated in that session with that client, I realized it was because my attention, my focus, my awareness was on me.
Oh,
that session had become about me.
Whoa.
Not about me. It's never about me when I'm with the client in a session. And it's about the person sitting in front of me. And I noticed as soon as I made that shift in my mindset, and as soon as I corrected that, everything, like, it's like floodgates opened.
Wow.
Right? And as soon as I brought my attention and awareness on that person that I was serving, things totally shifted.
Wow. I could relate to that, being a coach, you obviously having, face-to-face patients, clients. I can absolutely relate to that, where you just feel just less than that person. Like, who am I to offer them any coaching or consulting? And so, I can absolutely relate to that. And so, I need to remember that when I get to writing, who I'm serving in this book, who is going to be the recipient of this knowledge, of this information, and how I get to serve them in this capacity. We may not ever cross paths, but what they will have is a piece of my heart and a piece of my energy in those words and in that advice that I'm going to share with them. And I have to remember, I am a servant leader. And this is how I'm going to serve my community. If only one person picks up the book, so be it. I don't care. I've done my job. All of this, all this agony and pain and suffering I'm putting myself through, will definitely be rewarding at the end. Hopefully, who cares? Anyway, oh my gosh, Dr. J. So, you're good. Let me tell you, you are brilliant, my friend. So. I know we started on the topic of harnessing fear, and for those of you who are joining us right now, I am in the middle of a very powerful coaching session with the one and only Dr. Jay Fisher. If you watch the replay, you're going to see me stuck. You're going to see me unable to answer her very intimate questions because of fear. And so I gave her an example of what I'm living through right now in regards to fear. And she has guided me through a few questions to really reflect, to have conscious insight, right, into my own problem, because I am whole, resourceful, and creative, and I'm able to resolve my own problems, but with the right coach, I'm able to do that. And so you're witnessing what we do for a living. We help people transform their lives, and especially with this topic of fear that stops us dead in our tracks. So I'm not trying to distract from our coaching session, Dr. J, but I am looking at the time. And I just want to acknowledge a few likes and loves from our friends in the group. Oh, Dr. Nerio is here. How are you? We've got Crystal here. Look, she wrote, "Focus, Denise," LOL, because I was avoiding the questions. But because when it is uncomfortable and it's quite personal, you'll find a distraction, and that's why I wasn't able to move forward with writing the book. So to wrap up our coaching session before we move on to our last question, Dr. J, where would you take me as a client from here? Where would we go now that I identified the moment that fear crept up in the way that the imposter syndrome pops up for many of us who are passionately doing our life's work? I mean, where do we go from here now that I've identified that or pinpointed that moment?
Yeah, so awareness is just the first step. It is not the only step. After awareness comes intention and initiation. You have to set the intention for what it is that you do want. So when we get so wrapped around fear and being paralyzed and just frozen, we kind of forget what it is that we do want. What do we want to move on to? And in order for us to do that, we really have to assess and evaluate why. Remember the why question, not why of blame, but why of meaning. So why is that fear why does it have such a strong hold over us? And usually when we find the deepest rooted fears in our lives, the one that really moves us, the one that keeps us stuck, the one that just shakes us up in our lives, that's when we know we've hit the jackpot. So when you figure out what your biggest fear is in life, that's when you've hit the jackpot, because it's in your deepest fears that you find what you love most about life.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't even realize this until recently. I thought, my biggest fear in life, it's a fear of rejection. It's obviously fear of rejection, given all of my past history. But, I had a friend come into my space recently, and he and I have had conversations that have taken me to, spun me to different worlds. And it made me realize that my biggest fear isn't a fear of rejection. It's a fear of turning out like someone that I know who is so lost in their life, wandering, chasing momentary and fleeting moments of happiness and not knowing what they want. I don't want to be that person that ends up on my deathbed at 95 years old going, I really need a do-over because I did it wrong. I wasn't true to myself and I didn't listen and I didn't live in alignment. And that is my biggest fear, is that I'm going to end up a wanderer, lost, not knowing what I want out of life, just chasing momentary moments of happiness. And that's not what I want. And that moment of realizing that was my fear, I finally had that light bulb go in my head going, wow, that's what I love most about life, is figuring out why we're here, what it's all about, what it means to live a life of fulfillment. And I love that. So I would definitely implore everyone to figure out what their deepest fear is. Ask the why question of meaning, right? Why does it scare me? What does it tell me about my life? What does it tell me about who I am and what I love about life? And then work on the intention and initiation, because setting an intention is great, right? When we say, I want this, but it's not like the law of attraction. It's not this fluffy, I'm going to say I want that and it's going to happen. But really setting an intention and creating that identity for ourselves and saying, this is what I want out of life, and I'm going to take the steps required to get there. And we forget to set the intention when we are so overwrought with negative emotion. So especially fear. When you have so much fear in your life, you forget what it is that you do want. All you can think about is what you don't want. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be stuck. So really setting an intention for what it is that you do want. So Denise, what do you want?
I want to
on the other side of fear.
I want to get on the other side of fear. I want to feel freedom. I want to feel peace, tranquility. I want all of the wonderful things that freedom brings. So that's what I want.
So when you have freedom and tranquility, what does that mean for you?
Oh my goodness. It means a life in alignment.
A life in alignment.
Yeah. It means I'm living my fullest potential.
You're living your fullest potential.
That's what freedom feels like and looks like to me, and what that means. To get to that other side, it's like, wow, it's just one aspect. It's just one thing because there's so many things that fill my heart and my, and fill my soul with so much love and passion. So this is just one of many things that I want to do. And so,
so when you found that freedom and that tranquility, and you're living a life of your fullest potential, what does it feel like in your body?
Like I'm floating.
Like you're floating.
Like when I go into a deep meditative state where you feel yourself going from beta to alpha to theta to delta, and then sometimes into gamma. And you're like, whoa, like this is what it feels like to be detached from my body, to be detached from expectations, to be detached from societal standards. That's what, for me, it feels like. It feels a detachment.
It feels like a detachment.
From my human self.
From your human self, And where do you feel that in your body?
In my heart, always.
In your heart.
And it's heavy and full, and just, there's times where I just don't know what to do with it. Yeah. Like I'll sit and marvel in it. Like when I get out of meditation, I'll sit there and I'll just my heart is exploding with so much love and energy from that heart center. And it just feel like just right now I can feel myself elevating, my energy is elevating to that frequency level, because I've been there, done that. I know what it feels like, and I want to go there again right now with you.
Wow. Yeah. You know how to tap into that, because you've identified what it is that you want to feel instead of that fear, what is on that other side of that fear. And now if you were to bring that feeling of detachment floating in your heart full, and you brought that to your space where you are about to finish writing that book, now. What does that look like for you?
Like I'm done. Like the book is done. Like the book is in my editor's hands right now, and he is editing this manuscript, and he is blown away. He's not a woman, but although it's, it's written for a woman, but he's reading it and going, whoa, this is impactful.
And you hear him say, whoa.
I'm hearing him say, this is going to help women change their perspective on life. This is going to help him. I see him sharing that to me. I actually see him on a call with me. Actually, when we're going through the edits, I mean, this is all in my head right now. I'm visualizing this. This hasn't occurred, everyone. If you're just tuning in, know that we're going through this visualization right now of what that conversation is going to look like. After it is done, after I set the intention, take that action, but all the while detaching from the result, detaching from that human experience, and just letting that heart center write the words.
Now, when you're in that space, and you think about the fear and the frustration that you've had in the past month.
If I were to measure this from when you asked me the very first question, on a scale of 1 to 10, I was like nervous. I was fearful at a 10. I was already regretting even mentioning to you my situation.
That wasn't planned.
I'm like, I'm talking to a licensed psychologist. She is going to get me to open up. And then now, if I measure the emotion of fear right now, I'm probably at a 3, maybe a 2 or 3 at this point. It's the conscious insight, the self-awareness, right? And then it's like you said, it's tied then to the power awareness. And that's where you took me there. You knew I've been there before. I can get to that space of detachment. And I got there with you. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I would love to continue working with you to get you to a 0.
Yes.
But I know you'd mentioned something about time. But this is what transformation looks like. This is what that transformation from a space of living a fearful life to living in alignment looks like and feels like. And you feel it.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling so high and so good right now. So first of all, you are brilliant, Dr. J. I mean, I told everyone in my live yesterday or the day before that you, my good friend, who I love and adore, you are now part of this Align365 family. I appreciate you so much for taking me through this session. Now, we did not plan this, everyone.
Not at all.
This was not planned. I was just going to share an experience with Dr. J of fear that I'm feeling at this moment, or not at this moment, but at this point in my life. And she took me through a beautiful session. And that was only, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops. But that's the power of what we do. That's the power of what Dr. J does in her practice. We get to transform lives in one session or less. That's why this industry needs more healers and more light workers like Dr. J. Because you saw that shift in me. You were witness to that, all through the line of questions that she had for me. And again, this was not planned. And this is why she's so brilliant and why we need to have her back on the Align365 show. I got thumbs up. Some people are giving me some thumbs up.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
Dr. J, before we let you go, can you share with everyone where we can find you? And I know you're a member in our group. And I've asked Dr. J to post some more articles, information that she has from her website, to pin them inside our group so that we can benefit from her brilliance. And so if you, though, can share with us, Dr. J, where can we find more information about you and your services?
Of course. So my website is www.yourlifeinspired.com, and that's spelled UR and then lifeinspired, all spelled out, .com.
Awesome. I appreciate you, Dr. J.
Thank you so much for having me live today.
I'm going to check to see really quickly the comments in our post, and Dr. Nerio is still on. Thank you, my friend. Oh, she's so kind. She said, you got this and the book will be amazing. I appreciate you, Dr. Nerio. I'm so happy you're joining us today. Dr. J, I appreciate you. I honor you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon. We will have you back to talk about the 3 C's. If you guys missed that, watch the replay. Dr. J covers that at the top of our show. And we need to hear more about how to live our passion and live in alignment. And she shared with us the 3 C's and how when they are overlapping and they overlap each other, you are living at your fullest potential. So we're going to have her back to talk about that. I would also like to invite you back, Dr. J, to talk about emotional regulation and help us on finding ways to do that. And so I thank you, Dr. J. I thank you all for watching, for the hearts and for the likes. We appreciate you in the comments. Dr. J, any parting words before we leave these good people?
Oh, that's a really great question. I would probably say, honestly, you guys are all just so amazing, beautiful, and powerful. And there's so much magic that lives in each and every single one of you that you have yet to experience. And I want you guys to remember that we're all here, we're all in it together. Beautiful. We all have each other's backs. Yeah.
Beautiful words from my beautiful and brilliant friend, Dr. J. Fisher. Thank you so much. And we'll see you in our group posting some more amazing stuff for us to devour.
Yeah.
And so I wish you a beautiful afternoon, Dr. J, and to all our friends.
Thank you.
Until next time, guys. Thank you. Bye.